It was how can we put this bike into the market, working really closely with the governments to then really make a difference. Vision is to make Dubai into a cycle-friendly city. But in terms of electric vehicles and that modern, the infrastructure of the future and sustainability.
It could be like an entry to the fitness.
Yeah, which is exactly what they're designed to be. Brand new petrol bike, in first year of life, are 16 times more harmful to the environment than an SUV or a bus, which is shocking. The cost of charging is about a fill per kilometre. So it's incredibly inexpensive to charge. All of our vehicles have this built-in telemetry.
You outside, you see everything, you smell, you feel the wind.
That sector needs to change from the rider's well-being and safety to the efficiency.
What's going to happen in UAE? Are we all going to jump on the e-bikes?
That's in line with what the government and the RTA are implementing in their policy change. Do you fancy putting it on 6 and see how fast we can go?
It's a big vibe and hype right now about electrified vehicles, and today our episode gonna be all about it. We in Dubai, in sustainable city, and visiting One Moto company. I'm gonna meet Adam. I'm gonna find out what are they working on, and maybe they're gonna shine a light more about this industry. So let's go and check it out. Good morning.
Morning. Welcome to our humble shop.
Thank you, Adam. Nice to be here. I'm looking forward to find out more.
Okay, so One Moto is the UAE's first only certified approved EV manufacturer. So as you can see from the shop, we specialize in 2 wheels to get you from A to B with the highest technology and the safest possible.
Okay, and all of them are electrified.
Everything we do is electric. So yeah, we've got a range of e-bikes. So we've got 2 that are more designed for that sort of inner city lifestyle commute. Then we've got the off-road Jebel Rider, which is that sort of desert beast, and maybe we'll take some out later. And then you've got a track bike, single speed, and then you've got the 20 geared road rider over there. Electa 971 rider, that's us. Then we have the delivery bike, which is called Biker. And that's sort of really 90% of our business, is making a massive difference to that last mile industry. That sector needs to change from the rider's well-being and safety to the efficiency. And if I started talking about the environmental impact that petrol motorcycles have against what electric could save, it's shocking. It's amazing. So yeah, that's what we've got. And then we've got a delivery van as well. We've got those that are all on a pre-order status.
All right. This one, I like it. Is it classified as a motorcycle?
If you look at electric motorcycle, the definition needs more than a 4 kilowatt motor. So it would be considered an e-bike. You've got a 60 kilometer range. The speed is 50 kilometers. So to get a vehicle registered on the roads in the UAE, it needs to go 80 kilometers or above. But this is more for those sort of casual weekend community rides, and it's a limited edition.
Where you can ride with it right now?
Wherever you want, but not on the main roads.
Okay, because of the speed limit.
It's more designed for, that casual cruising, as opposed to that sort of daily commute.
Looks really cool.
Yeah, and then we've got the Electa. This is that retro classic, ultra high modern in terms of technology vehicle that, as I said, I use every day. And the nice thing is when you ride on 2 wheels, you ride with your senses, and because it's electric, it's silent. You hear nothing but nature and all the romance that comes with commuting.
Sure, it doesn't I don't know, produce the sound.
And when you think about electric vehicles, especially the cars, finding a charging station, how long do you have one at home? Do you have one in the office? Is there one in the office? And so on and so on. It then becomes slightly inconvenient to own an EV at the moment. Although the infrastructure is being built, what we've done is built all of our vehicles with the utmost of convenience. So you can plug the bike in straight to a wall socket, so you don't need a separate charging station, or you can just remove the battery. So within 10 seconds, swap the battery out,
Oh, you can take the battery.
put a brand new one in, carry on going.
So you parked in the underground parking. You can have an option to take it out battery, bring it back home.
Yep. So some customers have two batteries, so they've got one at home, one in the office,
okay.
or one in the bike, and one at various other places. Or you don't even need to take the battery out at all. You just plug straight into the socket. You've got a 3-pin socket, right? There's about 20 just in this.
Yeah.
So there's probably 48 billion plug sockets or One Moto charging stations throughout the city. The cost of charging is about a fill per kilometre. So 0.01 fills per kilometre. So it's incredibly inexpensive to charge the electricity. And if you look at, over the past 4 months, fuel has had 4 price increases. So it just makes it more affordable.
People buying bicycles for the fitness purpose, like going on Al-Qudra Road and everything. What would be the reason to use that bike, with the e-powered motor?
So you've got friends that are those hardcore cyclists that will do the 90 kilometres of a weekend, without any effort. The likes of me, I'd want to go out riding with them, but I can't keep up because I don't have the stamina because it's not my hardcore hobby.
Okay.
Whereas this allows me to keep up in those packs or those groups. And if I want to get into cycling, I want to build up my stamina, build up my performance, my fitness levels. Don't forget you can use this as a normal bicycle. So
You can switch off.
You switch it off, so you don't have to use the electric power assist. But if you are going out on a 90-kilometre ride, it's intimidating, right? You don't know, am I going to be able to make it back? If you can't make it back, that's a bit of a problem. So if you go out and then use it on the way back, you've got that choice.
Okay, interesting. I never thought about this approach because, you can jump, let's say, different fitness level friends and keep up, or maybe partner. I have this issue with my partner, like she's maybe not into that cycling. If we're going together, she's like staying in the back and stuff. But
we hear this a lot. So in, say, golf, you have those golfing widows. The wife doesn't play or the husband doesn't play and the other party does. Exactly the same as cycling. Got loads of friends that cycle, they're really into it, and they go off for their mornings or, multiple mornings a week.
Interesting. It could be like an entry to the fitness.
Yeah, which is exactly what they're designed to be. It's not to compete with those hardcore cyclists because that's a very separate market and the price points are incredibly different.
People purchasing them or like using as a service, like rental service?
So we just have direct sales. Although we are in conversations, and a big part of our business is about collaboration and working with the peer-to-peer companies or the lease companies to offer our vehicles on that model or basically on their platform. So yeah, we predominantly just sell the bikes, we don't lease them. But this shop is designed, it's only a little shop, but it's designed for customers to come in, have a chat, have a cup of coffee and experience the bikes, take them out for a demo, and that's what this place is about.
Test ride, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
I will tell you the truth, like I never tried power assist. You said what's the right word? Power assist.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell more about technology itself?
Yeah, so pedal assist is, you have the motor, whether it's a mid-drive, front or rear hub motor. As you start to pedal, it will kick into gear of sorts. There aren't really gears, but it kicks into gear and it powers up. So that kinetic energy then gives you that power. If you stop pedaling or apply the brakes, it will shut off. So it's like a safety mechanism. And it's no real hindrance to the weight, although the batteries obviously carry a little bit more weight, but with that power, you just don't notice it.
Do you need to constantly pedal? Or you can just, click the button and ride? Yeah,
that would be different. That would take it away from a bicycle or an e-bike into more of a moped or motorbike. So yeah, as you stop pedaling, after about half a second or so, it will stop.
Can we go and try?
Yeah, what one do you want?
Definitely Beast.
And what do you want to ride?
We can try that. Cool. Because I will stay straight. It would be good for the camera.
Cool. Let's go.
All right, Adam, so we have 2 beautiful bicycles over here. Could you please let me know more specs about it?
Yeah, so you're driving or riding the Cafe Rider, and it's designed, as you can see, to carry. And we've got the front where you carry children weekly groceries, carry a briefcase on the back. So depending upon sort of where we are in the world, and we're selling internationally, so we've designed vehicles for every market. That's designed for men and women. You can see that on the roads of Amsterdam or the streets of New York and various others. So
like city commute.
Absolutely. And then we've got this. This is the beast, the Jebel Rider. It's an all-terrain off-road. You can see the fat wheels. It's got a tremendous motor of power. So you can take it on the sand dunes, go out for a casual ride, whatever you want.
And what about specs? So what's the range? How much kilometers you can cover with these bikes?
The range of all of our vehicles, we've designed to give us 70 kilometers. And most people would find 70 kilometers as a bit of a daunting task to go out on a 70 kilometer bike ride.
Without assist.
Absolutely. So this takes away that daunting element.
What is the price range for each of the bikes?
So this one, if we go in dirhams, this is 11,499 and that is 7,495.
Okay.
And one of our principles and values is making sure that every vehicle we sell is affordable. Because it's pointless having, bikes designed for like the everyday person if the everyday person can't afford. So it's how can we make it affordable, offering finance options, working with partners, so not just here, but internationally as well.
And about the charging. Okay, let's say we purchase, with a family. Maybe I would take a Beast. My wife would take what did you say the name?
This is the Cafe Rider.
Cafe Rider, yeah. How long it took to charge? Let's say after the ride, you're coming back home.
So you've got around between, depending on the model, and there's a few more that we saw in the shop earlier, that you're looking 3 to 4 hours on a full charge. The nice thing is they charge with any 3-pin household socket. So the convenience, which is another one of the values, is ultimately there.
Okay. In the beginning, it could look like as a hefty investment for the bicycle, comparing with the regular bikes.
It depends on what you see the value is. Everything that has a price tag also has the value associated with it. We've priced our bikes, I'd say mid-market, basically to make it as affordable for everyone, because a big part of Dubai's vision is to make Dubai into a cycle-friendly city. And if you look at that master plan, it's incredible the cycle tracks that are being opened up. And we want also people to be able to go to work and actually start commuting, maybe not in the summer months, but certainly in the winter cooler months. Yeah. Depending upon where you work, of course, but you could live and work 70 kilometers apart and you've got an e-bike to take you there.
I mean, with these bicycles, you can definitely cover a bigger distance and still end of the day not gonna come in the office like, sweating or stuff like that, because you're not putting a lot of effort to, if you, put on level 5, you're gonna cover distance much easier.
Yeah, if you're in a rush, stick it on level 5 or 6 and you get there quicker. I find it when I'm on the Elector and I'm riding to work, or on these, when you're on 2 wheels, you actually ride or drive with more, it's more sensory.
Yeah.
You can smell more, you can hear more, you can see more because you don't have a roof covering you in.
I think all motorcycle riders telling this, that it's a big difference traveling with motorcycles and in the car. Because you outside, you see everything, you smell, you feel the wind.
And I fall in love with Dubai so often, and especially when I'm on like the Elector, because you ride to work and there's all these wonderful smells, and at certain times of the year you get that sweet moisture in the air and it smells like holiday. And when you live somewhere that smells like holiday, that's quite amazing in the morning. So we've been going quite slow. Do you fancy putting it on 6 and see how fast we can go?
Yeah, let's do that.
See you there.
All right, Adam, that was really nice ride. Thanks
I'm
a
glad
lot.
you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a interesting experience. I like you feel the power in the slight pedaling, and then the bike just want to push forward. Yeah, so it's
I'm
great.
really glad you enjoyed it. Thanks.
Yeah. If we can kind of circle back to your maybe story, how did you end up in UAE, in Dubai itself, and of course, how did you start at One Moto?
Yeah, so the story of how I came here, my uncle used to live in Dubai, but he was like my older brother and that mentor. So anything he said, I listened to, just growing up, respecting him. And he was living in Dubai and he said, hey, you've got to move to Dubai. Like the lifestyle, the people, the opportunities, it's just positive. And I was working in TV in London and I was a little bit stagnant. I loved what I did, and it was a bit grey. And, I traveled when I was younger, lived in Ireland and the States. So I just wanted that next adventure. So that brought me out here. And then what kept me here was exactly what he said Dubai was. And it's the opportunities, not just those that you create yourself, but it's that positive environment where you can create opportunities for others. But coming from a TV background and a media in general, I got a job with a TV production company here. And then I was doing freelance presenting and award ceremonies and little gigs here and there. The next decade was working with some great big clients, some multinational, traveling the world, but then also working with the smaller startups because, I know what it's like to be a startup and be that founder. You need the support, and it was, a tremendous amount of creativity that went into it. Or 12 years later, another opportunity came by and I thought, am I going to do the same thing for the next 10 years? Or am I going to do something that makes a difference? And the catalyst was becoming a father, being a lot more socially and environmentally aware of what's going on, and being an absolute passionate fan of David Attenborough. You listen to what he says, right? My wife and us as a family are more sustainably focused, and it's, sort of one step at a time, you try and do as much as you can. I realized there was an opportunity for electric bikes, and especially in electric delivery bikes, the industry, being a rider. And it was just that light bulb moment of a few things coming together, realizing there's a problem, knowing that there's also a solution. I want to be a part of that.
So how come it came, like, decided you saw something, you traveled, like,
so
because it's like you are from the media, it's a totally shift.
It is very different. And I get asked this a lot, and you think, where's the validation of how can you do this if you don't come from that background? But there's certain massive leaders in business of big organizations that don't come from that background, but it's the application of your experience or wisdom, knowledge, and obviously
mindset,
the network that you've got, and you bring the right people together. So being a rider and riding on the roads every single day for 13 years that I've been here, or most days for 13 years, you see that these riders, especially delivery riders, there's 15,000 on the road in Dubai. And you see these squared off tires, these baggy chains, they make a tremendous amount of noise. And this is going back now 5 years or so. And I thought, I wonder if anyone's done them electric. Because like Tesla was sort of coming to the market over here. There was rumors about XYZ, in the development.
It was not trendy that much, like now everybody talking about electrified and everything.
Absolutely. And then because of the customers that we were working with my other business, it was very F&B, hospitality, retail, video content, branding. The rise of Talabat, Kareem, the Uber Eats, when they were here, you got Deliveroo. So I just saw this and I thought there's a tremendous potential of that last mile delivery, not just for food, but products, groceries, and so on. I just did some research of what the opportunities were here. Then I worked very closely with some of the guys at Kareem and said, look, from a delivery bike, just hypothetically, if there was to be an electric delivery bike, what do you need? So they gave us all the sort of ingredients of considerations. And then we went to town with the R&D department in the UK at the time, here, some collaborative efforts with other industry experts, engineers, and so on. We thought, can we do this? Yes, it's a viable opportunity. Let's start. So we did.
Okay, so you kind of collected all information from the market. This is growing, this is the challenge, interviews.
Yeah, there was a lot of risk as well, because you can do the market research, but then is there an actual market? So you just got to go and speak to the clients, speak to the customers that are going to be buying the products or using the products. And when you start looking at all of this positivity, you then start asking those that you don't know, those strangers, because they're going to be more real with you. And like, what do you need? So we thought, if they're telling us what they need, how do we build a bike that's the most high performing from technical performance right across the board, leading the way with technology? We won't get superseded by technology. How can we encompass that together? And then coming from the riding side, the engineers, designers, we sort of packaged this delivery bike together, and then took 18 months to get the certifications here. Although all of our bikes are registered to the EEC, so the European standards, it was how can we put this bike into the market, working really closely with the governments to then really make a difference. So the problems that we address is the environment, the profitability, whether it be from the operators, from government side, or for the riders themselves. So you've got that, and then you've got the safety element, which is incredibly important, more of an emotional importance to me, and then that's mirrored by some of the companies that work in the industry.
Where do you need to start? Like, even if it was by the time was not popular, you look for like suppliers who can create that bike, or
an old business partner in the UK did a lot of the research, trying to find the manufacturers, assembly, and obviously all the certifications go with it, just to make sure that the partners that we choose are the very, very best. And we did that, and we signed a contract so they produce the vehicles exclusively for us. Originally, I wanted to build the vehicles in Dubai, but the infrastructure just wasn't there. The incentives weren't there, and so on. So we looked at Asia, we looked at various different places, Europe as well, of how can we create these bikes. And we thought, let's do it in 2 phases. And you've always got the dream. And if you look at some of the big EV manufacturers that have got the hundreds of million valuation, we don't have that. Yeah. We didn't have that at the start, but we thought, how can we be different? So let's build product, let's get into the market, let's get the sales, let's get the revenue in, let's prove that these vehicles are in demand, and then go for the valuation and the expansion. So phase 2, which we're currently in now, is raising a pre-series A, which is $10 million at a $60 million valuation, to actually start assembly locally. We've done the research, we've met with loads of different partners, suppliers, to be able to build 100% in the UAE.
In UAE?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you create the kind of the model itself, or it was like existing models and you adapt?
So there's a combination. You look at what works, whether it's sort of the frame, the technology, and so on, and then you make your revisions and enhancements from there. And then with the vehicles that we're going to be manufacturing here, we've got the designer and engineer, and it's a 3-in-1 motorcycle to start off with. It's fascinating because there's so much more when you're on hand here as opposed to how it was with the first range of vehicles. We're using 3D printed recycled materials to enhance the sustainability efforts. There's so much that we're doing that we have a lot more control of here, and doing the research and having that UAE locally produced, like the first EVs that are locally produced here. Hopefully the plan is to put the UAE on the map for export. It's not really it's known for trade tremendously over the years, but not really manufacturing and export. But in terms of electric vehicles and that modern smart city, the infrastructure of the future and sustainability, we're really hoping that we can be that pioneer, if you like.
Okay, so that's the plan.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about, let's say, One Moto mission right now, what do you guys do? I think you mentioned that biggest percentage is B2B and the rest is B2C.
Yeah, so with the delivery bikes, there's 15,000 in Dubai, and they're sort of the figures that we bounce around when you look at the environmental impact, the cost, the profitability impact, and so on. And Dubai was really chose as our beachhead market to launch in, because you're only 20 minutes away from any meeting that you need to have here, and that's part of the beauty, but also that hyper growth market of food delivery and sort of the commerce and last mile in general. We thought, let's build the market with what we have and then start expanding. We had a plan to launch in 4 territories by the end of this year. We've launched in 21 territories, and we've just announced India. We've got another big announcement for Australasia as well coming up soon. We're in conversations with Ethiopia, Ghana, Egypt, Saudi, UK, Portugal, Luxembourg. So there's quite a few territories that, as One Moto, when I said about the antiquated form of dealerships and distribution, we've done something very different. We've created this franchise opportunity. the dealerships, sub-dealers and distributors can take One Moto as a whole. So we have flagship stores in every territory and city we operate. But then 90% of our market, to really make that massive difference to the environmental side, is B2B.
So in all those regions that you mentioned, so the main goal now is to kind of feed the market with electrical bikes for the delivery, for the food delivery or any other services?
So the 15,000 delivery bikes on the roads, they produce more CO2 and hydrocarbons and carbon monoxide. And in their first year of life, so a brand new petrol bike, in first year of life, are 16 times more harmful to the environment than an SUV or a bus. So under an aeroplane, cruise liner, motorcycles are a third, which is shocking. Motorcycles produce less CO2, but way more hydrocarbons, thousands of times more hydrocarbons. And if you take those 15,000 in 1 year, it's the same as 273,000 trees grown for 10 years to absorb that amount of CO2. And that's the lesser of the toxins. 273,000 trees, what does that look like? It's 21,000 acres. And that's 21,000 acres, that's just 15,000 bikes, 42 times the size of downtown Dubai.
This
That's
is a year.
Per year. That's a pretty big landscape. And it's a lot, but it's only 15,000. You take that to India, there's 37 million. Pakistan, 20 million. UK, 1.1, a million in Africa. Sort of a devastating amount of harm to the environment. That's only motorcycles. So we can't make that massive solution to everyone, but we can really solve something that hasn't been addressed by anyone else. So that's our niche, our focus, and where we know we can really make a difference.
Okay, so this is environmental impact. What about, let's say, cost? Because businesses still, they're going to look at the cost.
40% of the customers that we speak to have an environmental agenda or a sustainability mandate of some sort. Whether it's spoken about and actioned on, or it's in their mind, or they want to do it, it's a nice to have but not needed. That's an evolution and we can't control that. But the nice thing is it's 40%, whereas a few years ago, 0%. Whereas every single person we speak to have a profitability mandate. And in a hyper-growth, competitive market like last mile delivery, food delivery aggregators and so on, the profitability is paramount importance. The main sort of cost savings are service and maintenance and fuel. And fuel over the past 4 months have been increased. That affects the rider. How are the operators going to manage that? And one of our partners, Jumeirah, Sarood Hospitality, with Noodle House, they announced in the press that they're saving 15,000 dirhams per year per bike. Within the first year on the CapEx model of buying a bike, first year the bike's paid for itself and it's profit there on out. And so that's a tremendous testament and testimonial for us and what we're saying and what we're doing. So the cost savings from going over a 3-year period, even though our vehicles are sort of 5 to 10 year lifespan, a petrol bike is 2 to 3. Okay. And I think the RTA cap it at 4. They won't register after 4 years. If you look at the over a 3-year lifespan, to be sort of generous to the petrol and less generous to us, but make it more comparable, you're looking at a 74% cost saving over that 3-year period. That then makes that last mile industry profitable. There's not a single thing that anyone could do in their business that could have more of a dramatic impact on the bottom line profits. And then we look at the safety, which is something that, as I said, is emotionally connected to me. The rider's welfare it needs to be addressed, to be polite. And I spent a week on the road as a delivery rider to really understand and get to know these riders and have these personal one-on-one chats. How are they? To find out in terms of the working environment. One, to obviously test our bikes as well and continue that, but also get to know the riders and the guys that are going to be using them every day. All of our vehicles have this built-in telemetry. So it's telemetry and the telematics. It basically connects data from the bike reads and the rider and the APIs through the mobile phone and so on to optimize routes, find out if the rider's driving behavior or riding style. It's real-time data, but say over a month, we can identify that these 100 riders are very aggressive in their riding style. Why is that? When you evaluate it and work with the governments and the operators, we can say, well, they're under a tremendous amount of pressure because they've got quite a long zone reach.
Okay.
Whereas if we shortened that down, put another rider there, and just optimize those routes.
So locations where they could stay, wait, or operate.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's in line with what the government and the RTA are implementing in their policy change. When it comes to delivery riders, you know, in the heat of the summer or the heights of Ramadan or just those long working hours, there are going to be accidents because they're on the road so much, they're concentrating so much. But alongside that, there's that safety element that us as drivers, car drivers, just need to be more respectful on the roads.
Your e-bike technology, you said you can collect the data. Can you elaborate more about it?
Everything we do is in phases. So the first phase, we've got the app, which is for customers, private users, and also for the fleet. But if we go into what's of importance to the fleet operators, you've got the route optimization. So we see the routes that the riders have traveled and then where those hotspots are. That then measures with the operator's app as well to basically work out how we can zone them effectively. Then you have the data from the bike itself in terms of how many green kilometers you've traveled, like the pollutant or the toxic pollutant offsets. You've got are they speeding? Where are they speeding? So that data, some of it's important for the governments to acknowledge and then basically make policy changes according to the data that they have. Then you've got the riders as well, so we can reward the riders for being safe. There's loads, there's about 30 or 40 things that it can do. It's just who that data is important to, we feed it to them.
Okay, because I'm trying to understand, let's say, the benefits comparing electric bike, comparing with now existing fleet that they're using, you know.
Yeah.
What would be your pitch if you would come, well, this is your existing and this is my solution, and that's the benefits.
So with, it's a lovely question actually, because with a petrol bike, you buy it from one of the three main manufacturers or OEMs over here. And then you have to get the delivery box on the top. Then the telemetry, most of them don't have telemetry because it's a retrofit and it's a cost that no one necessarily wants to pay for, but it is valuable to their business. So we just include all that. Everything is a one package with everything.
Okay.
Then the nice thing about modern technology, whether it be the car that you drive, but especially with the EVs and the cars that are being built now, you have these upgrades, so the software upgrades. One of the reasons why we have called ourselves One Moto is we've got 105 parts in this bike. There's 4,000 parts in a petrol motorcycle of equivalent, and we believe that you can replace any of those parts so very inexpensively because it's direct with us, very efficiently and quickly and timely, and we'll take care of the recycling of absolutely every one of those parts. But you can then replace those parts to end up with a brand new vehicle in essence. So you only ever need one moto, which then creates generational loyalty. And especially in other parts of the world where you'd have a motorbike and you pass it from like a grandson to a father to a son to a nephew and so on. That sort of chain of generational loyalty, if you know that you're passing on something that's new, it's still as sustainable and environmentally friendly as it was from the day it came off the production line, that level of sort of technology and those software upgrades, it's exciting. It feels like a new vehicle again. You don't need to have this aftermarket of cars or bikes that get scrapped. If you actually do it, sort of cleverly with thought, and you create this culture of one moto for life, then you only need one moto, right?
Got it.
That's the plan.
Interesting, nice. What's the difference in the price range? What they purchasing now, motorcycles, and then how much they need to invest? And obviously you said like in the 1 year they saving 15,000.
If we go calculations on fleet operators, because anyone that's watching this and they know that their fleet is costing them a fortune every month. We've done calculations that for 500 bikes, that the operators are paying 215,000 dirhams a month in maintenance and servicing and 265,000 dirhams a month in fuel.
Okay.
That's just on 500 bikes, so it's nearly 500,000 dirhams a month. And that's before the last price increase, but we'll take it from like last month. That is incredibly expensive just as an operational asset. If you look at the direct purchase, in fact, let's do it over 1 year. So our bike, the delivery biker, is 14,950 dirhams. With that comes the telemetry and the box. If you take a petrol bike, and I'm saying you're buying one, you get a discount if you buy more, right? But one, you're looking at around 7,500 dirhams. Then it's 1,500 dirhams for the box, takes it up to 9. Then you're looking at the fuel, 350 to 450 dirhams a month. And then you start sort of multiplying the servicing, sort of 4,000 dirhams a year in terms of service and maintenance and parts. So you look at that entire cost and it's around 26,000 dirhams per year for a petrol bike, and it's still only 14,950 for an electric one. Times that over 3 years, it's about 65,000 dirhams for petrol, whereas it's only 16,000 dirhams for electric. It's a tremendous cost saving. So anyone that has that cost saving idealism or mandate, it's just a no-brainer.
E-vehicle future, what's going to happen in UAE? Are we all going to jump on the e-bikes?
Hopefully, because the vision of Sheikh Hamdan and various other private individuals as well, it's about making Dubai comfortable with being a cycle-friendly city, two-wheel mobility, and there's a lot of stigma around the scooters and the training and the education, the safety, and there's a huge transition that we're going through with the forms of micro-mobility. There will be that switch, the supply of, say, competitive price points, but also the range of vehicles that are going to be available to the market. But also there needs to be the incentive on how those vehicles are purchased or paid for. We can all visualize where it's going and where we'd like it to be, but the journey to get there is going to be very sticky. There'll be bottlenecks here and there, but it's happened elsewhere, which is nice because the UAE can look at other parts of the world. How have they done it? What's worked, what hasn't? And then start following suit. But it needs to be progressive and actioned.
Yeah. All right. Nice. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all the information.
Thank you very much.
Lovely talking with you.
Pleasure.
Well, that's end of our episode. Hope you guys learned more about EV vehicles, especially motorcycles and e-bikes. Yeah, thanks a lot for support. Like always, click like, subscribe and share. And I will see you in the next episode. And now, I'm going for a ride. And kick it in! Woo!